Hi YouTube, it's Diane again. I thought I would do a video. I don't know how short it's going to be, but I'm going to do a video on my UFOs. I don't have too many of them. I have a small haul and some finishes to share. So I'll start with my UFOs. I am not a serial starter, but I am a serial pattern collector. So one of these videos I'll talk about my patterns and show my collection. But years ago, I was involved in a women's Bible study, and kind of as a year-end thank you, I made some little stitched pieces for all the small group leaders. And what I used was from the Sweetheart tree. And there were these little hearts. I'm covering it up for copyright reasons, but you can see the heart shape. And all the pieces have a heart outline, and then inside they have little stitches, different specialty stitches, specialty fibers. These hearts, and then it tells you row by row, do this stitch in this row, and this stitch in this row, and this stitch in this row. So these were really cute, and they're pretty good size, small little projects. They use Needle Necessities overdyed floss, which is no longer, the company is no longer making the product. It's not available. A few shops might have it, or maybe on eBay. Threadworks purchased them. I don't know if they took all the colors over to their company and they're reproducing the colors. I'm not sure on that. But I did these years ago, and then I was looking through my stash thinking, oh, I should do something. I must have finished a big project and wanted to do some little things. And so I thought, I wonder if I took a piece of linen and just put 4 of the hearts on the same piece. And I really liked the look of it, so I chose some hearts that I thought would work together. And this one here, this purpley one, is called Springtime Violets. There's some specialty stitches up here, down here. There we go. And then there's this heart here, which is Bloomin Tulips. And then this one here, which is called Sweet Clover. You can see the Algerian islets there. And then this one here is Grapevine. The only thing I have to finish on here is adding the beads, hence why there was no grapes on the grapevine, because they're all beads. So that's what I have to add on this particular piece. Each heart also has like a charm that's in the center. When I was looking at purchasing the actual charms called for in the pattern, they were $3 to $6 each, and the pattern themselves like about $1, $2. So what I did years ago is I went to Joann's or Michael's and I bought just some little charms or something, a mixed package, and I think that's what I'm going to do this time. Maybe put a crystal in there or some little bling. I also did a second set, so this is my UFO number 2. And this one has some stitching still left to do on it, and these, the purple that you see right in the middle, that's just placement. I'm going to pull those. But this one here is called Forget Me Not. Definitely has more stitching in it. Some Krennic to add. This one here is Acorns in Autumn. I love the colors in that. The browns are just beautiful. This one is Bleeding Hearts. And I have some Krennic to add, and definitely the Beading. And this one is one of my favorites, Summer Sunflowers. My grandfather loved sunflowers, and so whenever I see sunflowers, I always think of him. He was almost 94 when he passed away, so very, very sweet, sweet gentleman. So that's 2 of my UFOs. I thought I would find some kind of centerpiece and then put them on the side, because your eye is naturally pleased when you have an odd number of things to look at. It's pleasing to your eye. Or maybe I'll do a third grouping of these hearts, because there are probably, I think I did like 15 or 16 of these hearts, and I didn't count all the patterns before I did the video here, but I have, the ones I definitely have other hearts. I can do a third grouping. So that's UFO 1 and UFO 2. UFO 3 is this one. My Big Toe Designs. The Lord is my shepherd. So it's Psalm 23. I really like this pattern because I love how different fonts are used for different sections of the verse. This pattern uses Gentle Art sampler threads. Baby spinach is the main color, so it's green. It's a variegated green. And sugar plum is used. There's purple accents on this pattern. And sugar plum is the color that's used. It's a variegated purple. And this is how far I have gotten on this particular project. Again, I just love the use of the different fonts and the different sections of the pattern. It really gives this piece personality. So I have all the verse done. And I thought, well, I wonder if I really need to do the border now that I have the verse done. But I've done a few of their other patterns, and the border does kind of bring the project together. So that's all I have left is the border. And this project, I've been working on it for years, I'll admit. The green, after a while, the green just, I like to change colors on my projects. So I definitely look forward to finishing that one because it's a very large project. It's one of my largest projects I've ever worked on. My, let's see, 1, 2, 3, fourth piece is kind of a joke around here. It's this one, Stoney Creek Magazine, June 2009. It's to celebrate their 20th year of their magazine, so I guess they're 25 years now, since it's 2014. And I love the green, and our wedding colors were ivory and emerald with violets in the flowers for an accent. And I love this section here with the variegated alphabet. So when I saw this, I thought, I can do that for our 20th anniversary. My husband and okay, let me tell you another part of the story. My husband had to go out of town, in-state, on business, and he was there 2 or 3 days. He was so bored, he called me. He said, I'm so bored, I'm driving to Fargo. Wherever he was at was within an hour and a half of Fargo. I'm going to go to Nordic Needlework store. They have cross-stitch and Hardanger, a whole selection. I've ordered from them. They have excellent customer service. So if you're looking for, it's like you go to a different quilt shop, because you can't have one quilt shop have every fabric, everything ever available. So you go to different quilt shops and you notice this one specializes in this and this one specializes in that. It's similar with cross-stitching stores, because they can't have every pattern available. They could definitely have an extensive collection, but it's nice to go to different stores because you know, okay, this one, if I need this, I'm going to go to that store. So Nordic Needle, I think it's nordicneedle.com, Nordic needle.com, is another possible resource for you to order. And when I've ordered from them, I've never been to their store, but when I've ordered from them, the customer service, they're very quick in their delivery of the product. And I ordered one and they made an error in the order, and it was a Krennic, and they sent me the wrong number. And I called them and I said, well, this is the number I need. And they looked at the order and realized that is the one I'd ordered. They said, don't worry about sending it back. That was our mistake. And so they're very, very good customer service. So my husband picked out the back linen. I don't think I have the color. It says sage green kind of linen. This is as far as I've gotten on it. The joke is that we are going to be celebrating our 23rd wedding anniversary this coming March. So I kind of missed that 20-year anniversary. So the joke is, am I going to have it done by our 25th? That's my goal. But it'll be nice when it is finished. See, there it is. So what was my UFO number 5? Is this one. It's from Stoney Creek Magazine, spring 2011. And it's this graduation tree here. I really like it. It says, in the tree itself, it says believe and dream. But the poem, grow in God's grace, reach for the stars, aim to achieve, define your destination. Unearth the world around you, appreciate family and friends, treasure the good times, embrace your future with hope and joy. I really, really liked the poem. To be honest, some graduate patterns really have cheesy slogans, and I felt that this one was more personal and definitely caught. I started stitching it for my daughter when she was graduating her homeschool, and that was definitely her personality. I obviously didn't finish it, but I did it on this purple, and it is 30 count Peoria purple. And I know it's not coming, oh, that's a little better actually. It's not quite the purple that it would be in real life. The lighting's poor today because it's still cloudy again. Oh, we'll see sun sometime. But this lime green and this turquoise and the brown really play very well off of this purple. This project only has, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colors in it, including a Threadworks special fiber. This one here called Coffee and Cream. It's 1115. And it's, let me pull it out of the package so you can see it better. It's a variegated brown. That's going to be the letters, the actual GRADUATE letters. So it's a Threadworks. My daughter is going to receive her college degree in 2015. So this one is actually not going to be a UFO anymore, and I'm going to talk about that in my 2015 plan. So I'm pulling it off the bench of my UFOs, and I'm putting Persephone in. I was working on Persephone by Mirabilia, and this is as far as I got on her. I have kind of lost interest in her a little bit, but I'm going to just put her in my UFO pile for a little while. I'm definitely going to finish her because she is a beautiful piece, and I love the fabric, the hand-dyed fabric that I'm stitching her on. So she's going to be a temporary UFO. But those are all my UFOs. Again, I'm not a serial starter, but I do collect patterns and materials for my patterns, so yeah, I do have a stash. So my haul. I was inspired by you guys talking heaven and earth, heaven and earth, heaven and earth, heaven and earth. Went to Heaven and Earth Designs, and I ordered some patterns. On Black Friday weekend, they had their patterns 50% off, and so I looked at them. And Carolyn in Australia, Carolyn Mazio, is doing the Blue Dragon, so that's where I started. I started a wish list, extensive wish list now. I actually went through every single pattern on their website. It took me days and days and days to do that. I would do it, and then I'd write down what page number I got to. But at least the ones that are there as of last night. I will always be adding more, I'm sure. But I chose 4 of them, and when I was looking at them, I wasn't sure if I should do the PDF or if I should do the hard copy. I have not made the transition to digitize my cross-stitching. I'm very familiar with it because I do a lot of digital curriculum for my homeschool. So, I know I can print, I can just look at it, I don't have to print every page, I can just print this. I'm very familiar with that process. I just haven't taken the step to do it in my cross-stitching. My husband has an iPad and I have an Android tablet, so I have the technology. But before I do that, I should start on a smaller digital pattern to see if I like it or not. And I know that a few of you, especially Wonderfully Hopeless, you've mentioned, or you did a video on how you use your tablet, how you mark it, what program you use. I was looking at possibly getting one of the digital magazines and trying one of those patterns to see if having my pattern digital is something I would use and I would be able to stitch from. I'd love to see how you guys physically set it up. Do you lean it up? Do you lean it down? Do you have your settings here so it doesn't fall asleep on you? That type of thing. But I also have a lot of little fingers, and I would hate for me to mark stuff. And then my little 2-year-old, he's like a tech genius. He's done things on my tablet I didn't even know were possible. So I don't know if I'm going to do digital. I also like to have a color copy of the finished design because sometimes I need that motivation. I just sit there and go, oh, I'm never going to get this done. If I can look at the finished design, I can say, well, look how far I've come, and kind of get a swift kick in the pants to keep myself going. And other times I get lost in a chart where I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, do I do this blue or this red or this next? If I can look at the finished picture and look at what I have and where I need to go, it can help me have a strategy for finishing the project. So I definitely use that color picture a lot, but I don't have a color printer. I have a high yield laser black and white printer for homeschooling, and I use it a lot, but I don't have a color one. So to send it to some place to get a color copy made is cost like 49 cents to $1 each page. And the difference during the Black Friday weekend between the PDF regular size and the print regular size was $2. And I thought, I'll get the print. So that's what I did. If you've never ordered a print copy before, you get a nice package like this in this protective envelope that I've removed all the pictures so I can show you the pictures. And this is, if you bought this physically in the store, this is what you would see on the back. And I love that the symbols are very easy to read, very straightforward. It has, 3 stitches from the previous page. It's also clearly marked, so if you were doing more than one page design and somehow your charts got mixed up, it would be very easy to say, okay, this one goes here, this one goes there. I'm very impressed with this. And so I got a whole little package here for this one. And it varies how big your package is, obviously, with the number of pages per chart. So the 4 charts, and then you also, for each chart, you get the floss, where it gives you the symbol, which I've been looking at the symbols. I like the symbols. They're very clear and easy to read. That is a deal breaker for me, because some charts, years ago I had one magazine I really liked, and then they switched format, and the charts were just, they would give me such a headache, and so I quit buying that magazine. But they give you the number, the symbol, the color, and they also give you a chart that goes through all the colors again, but it tells you how many stitches, and these are all full in this pattern, so how many stitches of each color and how many skeins you need to purchase to finish the design. I really, really found that information extremely valuable, and they have other things on here, half and quarter stitches and back stitching. The ones I purchased didn't have any of those. It has all full cross. But this chart is very, very nice. And it comes with each pattern, you get a chart like that. The pattern I purchased was the White Dragon. It's the same designer or artist as the Blue Dragon that Carolyn is finishing for her son. My 8-year-old actually saw this before I even took the pattern out of the package and said, "Mom, can you stitch it for me?" So this one's claimed. Before I even started, it's claimed. And he has like 136-ish thousand stitches. This one of our favorite periods of history is kind of the King Arthur time frame of history. There's just so much going on in Europe, in Asia, in the Middle East, that Lady Avalon is one that I really, really liked. The detail, she has a lot of green in her, and green is my favorite color. She's in a little boat here, a lot of foliage around her. She's stunning. The detail is just amazing on these patterns. When we did the tag on your favorite DMC, we should have done a tag on your least favorite DMC, because I do have least favorite DMCs, as in I see them in the chart and I cringe. One of them is 948. It's a flesh tone. Years and years ago, I had a bad skein of 948, and it really has tainted that color for me. I don't mind 945 or 950, 754, 758, 356. I don't mind the other flesh tones, but that 948, I cringe whenever I do that in a pattern. But probably my least favorite DMC is 3371. It's a very dark brown, almost black color. Lady Avalon has, I looked at her right. Let me double check here. I think she has almost 11 skeins of 3371. 11 skeins. For all the foliage around her, the trees and stuff. So hopefully by the time that I am completed this project, 3371 will not be my least favorite DMC color. But it's a very beautiful design. The third one I purchased, this one caught my eye, and it's called the Scout. She's a little unusual for me because she's browns and grays and whites, and unfortunately the detail of the pattern isn't coming across on the screen, but the detail in her, I kept coming back to her. Her hood up here, and then the scrolling that's through her cape. And when I ordered it, I didn't realize that there was the reflection over here in the pool. So she's stunning. The detail on her face and her hands is just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Lady Avalon has about 220-ish thousand, and I think when I did the math sheet, the Scout had, I want to say 270,000. So definitely not a small pattern. And the last one I purchased was this one, the Snow Queen. I realized that she had the butterfly wings, and then this part here is a butterfly wing, but she actually has a third wing. The detail is absolutely stunning on the owls and the trees and her wings and her dress. Oh, she is one I want to stitch a lot. I kept coming back and coming back and coming back to her. She only has 377+ thousand stitches. So, yeah. You know, I'm a mom of 13. I don't do things halfway. But those are the Heaven and Earth designs that I purchased during that sale, and I have an extensive wish list, so maybe the next time they have a sale, I'll purchase some more. So that's part of my haul. I also went to a thrift store, and I found this pattern, the Cricket Collection. It was 50 cents, and it was cute, just little welcome home sweet home designs. If I don't do this one, my mom might like to do this one. She's into cross stitching now, so. But it was so cute, and I like the basic colors, and so that one I think would be fun. They also had hoops. Now, I've stitched in the hand for so long, I don't have any hoops, but I found these hoops for 50 cents a piece. So I thought, especially with the heaven and earth design, since they're so big, I might need these for 50 cents a piece. And then I found this one. I don't know if I can get this all on the screen here. This one was $4.50. This is a hand quilting hoop. This has to be a lot more than $4.50. So I found that, and I'm going to use one or more of them for my heaven and earth designs. And I also watched this is Milky Bar Kid, her Haid tips video. I don't remember which number it is, but she suggested that you do some test stitching before you jump into your Haid. And so I thought, okay, I know I do not want to do it on 25 count. I don't like doing 1/1 on linen. Your stitches slide and everything. I know that would not relax me. So I thought I might do 18 count, 20 count, or 22 count. So I need to find some fabric to do some test stitching on, and I found this. This is 22 count heart hanger fabric for 50 cents. So it's a 12 by 18 piece, so I definitely can do a lot on here. So this I'm going to use for test stitching, so I can figure out what I want for my Haid when I'm ready to jump in and do one of them. So that's my haul, and I also have some finishes. Just Nan Cherish. I finished her, and this is what she looks like. There's 16 angels in this series, and I think I've stitched every one. I've at least stitched 14 of them, and some of them I've stitched more than once. The Cherish, she's 1/1 on her face and hands. So I know I can do the 1/1. I don't find it very relaxing. So there's that piece. And then the one that everybody's been waiting for, red. She's done. And here she is. I'll kind of zoom in and out so you can see the beading. The beading definitely adds to the design. And so these blue treasures, it adds so much personality to her. And her dress, her cape. The flowers here, the beadwork just adds so much. I did her on 32 count French lace. That is what the actual pattern, the model of the pattern was stitched on. I don't normally do that with Mirabilia. The colors that they choose for their models, I don't like usually, but this one I really liked. It has a hint of green in it, which, yes, it's my favorite color, but it really plays off the red and the blacks in these bluish beads. It really plays off those colors well, so that's one reason I chose it. Some issues I ran into. It has to do with these little petite beads here. They're 42029, I believe. I had a bad package of Mill Hill beads, as in I use an actual beading needle, a beading petite. I don't like the long ones, I like the small ones. And it didn't want to go through, so I had to put another bead on and another bead. So many beads would not go over my needle. It was very frustrating. Now these petite black ones here, the 42014, one or two I wasn't able to put over my bead, but the 42029. The pattern recommends 2 packages of 42014. That's the little petite black ones. You do need 2 packages, because one package is not going to do it. I think there's another bead that you're supposed to have 2 packages. I think it's one of these blues. I can't remember exactly which one it is. I would follow that recommendation, or the equivalent if you're using a different brand of bead. On here, there's these really big beads right here. It's 18802. What I did on those beads is when I do the mill hill beads, I go from the lower, let me think about it here, lower left through the beads, the upper right. I do double strand, and I use Nymo thread, Nymo. Don't get the mill hill one, because there's not enough on that little package to justify the price. Go to Michael's or Joann's, go to their beading section, and get the Nymo thread, not stretch or other thing, the Nymo. I like that. I don't like monofilament. I never feel I can pull the monofilament tight enough to secure the bead that doesn't distort my project. But the Nymo, I've also used DMC floss, but I was always nervous if I pulled the DMC floss too tight, if it would break. But with the Nymo, it has some body, so it makes it a little easier than floss to thread the eye of the beading needle. And I also feel I can tug at it a little bit to secure the bead without distorting my fabric. But because I do the mill hill beads at an angle, when there's a whole row of them, like right here, get it so you can see hopefully, this blue here, the whole of the bead is not vertical, it's actually at an angle, so the bead kind of sits at an angle. And when you do that, sometimes the beads want to go a wonky way, so you just take your beading needle and you just stick it in the hole and make your bead go the way you want it. With these larger beads here, on the chart you will find 2 spots on the chart that are empty to put that big bead in, and all around the chart will be either full cross stitches, completely covered in beads, or a combination. Here there's some beadwork and there's some full crosses. What I did is I did all of the stuff around that big bead, and when I did little beads, again, lower left through the bead, upper right, so they were at a little bit of an angle. When I did the big bead, I did lower left, came up through the bead, upper right, came back lower right through the bead again, and went down upper left. So on these big beads right here, the whole of the bead is sitting vertically. I hope this makes sense. And you do want to leave the space underneath open so that bead can kind of sink in a little bit. And I don't notice anything. I know sometimes they can leave bigger gaps and you're wondering why it's so big, but these, oops, right here, works really well. So I would suggest leaving those 2 squares empty so your bead can kind of sink in a little bit. But because I did essentially a long, elongated cross stitch through my bead, it's very secure. I don't have to worry about those coming off. I know there's a technique where you go lower left through the bead, upper right, and you come back through that lower left, you split your thread and go down the upper right, and the part you split goes around your bead and it locks your bead in. I do not do that technique when it's surrounded by stitching. Now, if it's a star or snowflake or something way out in the middle of nowhere, I will do that technique. But for this one, I did an elongated cross stitch essentially through the bead both legs. I hope this makes sense. But that is how I secured my beads, and I think it worked very well. I normally do all my cross stitch on a project like this. Do all the back stitching, and then I do the beads. I ran into an issue doing it that way. What I would recommend is, yes, follow the directions. They tell you use 1 strand to backstitch your eyebrow, use 2 strands, excuse me. Sorry, air is really dry. Use 2 strands to backstitch these black vines in the dress, or you can see it better here in the cape. These black vines in the cape, a lot of that is 2 strands of black floss. I would follow that. The one thing I would do different is I would not backstitch the veins in the leaves. Do not backstitch 3042 is the DMC it calls for, because, especially this leaf right here, this one, oh no, sorry, this one right here. In the pattern, in the body of the leaf, there are a few beads. If you do the back stitching, then the beads sit on top of your back stitching and it does not look right. What I had to do on this leaf in particular is I had to remove all my back stitching, do my beading, and then add the back stitching again. It still looks great when it's done, but I encourage you, if you're going to do red, I know a few people are doing red for the Mirabilia stitch along, and I know some people have indicated she's on their wish list. What I would do if I stitched her again is I would just wait to stitch the veins on the leaves until the very last thing. Because some of the leaves, not all of them, but some of them have the beads actually in the leaves themselves. And that can interfere with your back stitching. So if you would just hold off on back stitching your leaf until you're done with your beading, I don't think you'll run into that problem. I also looked to make sure that I was reading the chart correctly, that there were beads actually in the leaves and not just a little at the tip of the leaf, like a lot of them have. And the black petite 42014, I just know that because I just finished this project. Next week I won't know those numbers. The symbol is a circle, a filled in dark circle on this project. There's another symbol in the pattern. It looks like a spade, like a deck of cards spade. I made sure that I was looking at the correct symbol, and I was. So it was the black bead. But my suggestion would be to hold off on stitching the leaves until you're done with the beading. Otherwise, you shouldn't have any issues with this pattern. She is gorgeous, and she is officially my second favorite piece I've ever stitched. And the Arms of an Angel is still my favorite, but red is my second. Oh yeah, that's the back of red. The red is my second favorite piece I've ever stitched. So I think you will really, really enjoy her, those of you who are going to be stitching her in the near future. So that's all I have for this video. I'm going to do a second video on my master plan for 2015. So until then, have a good stitching day. I thank you for your comments. And I have to say this, I am actually on Instagram now. My kids talked me into it and helped me set up the account and all that. It's mondot, M-O-N-D-O-T, stitches on Instagram. I use the same name. I've tried to follow other people that I know are on FlossTube. If I haven't followed yours, feel free to comment below that, hey, I'm on Instagram, here's my moniker. I'm still figuring out all the Instagram stuff, but I'm getting there. So I am on Instagram now. It's a nice additional tool we can use to keep in contact. So until my next video, have a good stitching day. Thank you for watching and hearing me ramble on. Please realize that on red, that's all my own opinion. You don't have to take my advice, but it's just one little thing I ran into with the pattern with regard to the order of backstitching and beads. Just one little thing I ran into, but she's a beautiful design, and I encourage you to keep stitching, and I think you'll enjoy red. You'll enjoy all your projects. Until then, have a good day. Thank you.